Good afternoon, folks, from a very cold day in the Midwest. Happy holiday season. Merry Christmas to you guys who may see me this one last time before Christmas. But I will be on tomorrow. So we're going to be asking the question today. It could be a difficult topic, could be one of controversy. Nevertheless, a lot of the subjects presented here are controversial, which is why it is a pleasure to often have you guys on here stating your opinions from the other side of the aisle. So the question we're asking today, as you see the video is titled, is it possible to be both a Democrat and a Christian simultaneously? Particularly those who are in favor of a woman's right to choose. I'm asking this question because I have seen it in more than one location coming from the right. It is something you often even hear from some preachers and pastors that have said in open church in front of their congregation that you cannot be a Democrat and a Christian simultaneously. Now, clearly this revolves around the abortion debate, but there are other issues. But there are folks who believe that if you are in favor of LGBT rights, for instance, transgender surgery, for instance, or taking the life of the unborn, that means that you have been in violation of Christian values. Therefore, you cannot be a Christian. Now, in the comments, someone asked, am I serious? Hell yeah, this is what pastors around the country, particularly in Bible Belt areas, are telling their congregation in open church. You're not hearing this from yours truly. This is not a creation coming from your humble correspondent. This is what I am seeing all over social media. I'm assuming some of you have seen it as well. You're seeing it on television programs, and you're just simply hearing it from the internet. So I'm asking, can you be Christian and a Democrat at the same time? Or does left-wing ideology disqualify you from Christianity? Now, as I say on every broadcast, this is a MAGA-friendly program, but liberals are welcome too. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. I'll give you plenty of time in the box without any fear of cancel culture, cancellation, disqualifying you, censorship. We don't do any of that here. We protect your First Amendment free speech rights. Looking in the comments section, Trump certainly is not a Christian. Fair enough. And you're not the first to make that equivalency, but nevertheless, the evangelical community, which largely supports the right, appreciate those that crown there, Dylan. Thank you. The evangelical community, which largely supports the right, embraced President Trump. So whether he's a Christian or not, he clearly has been embraced by Christian members that tend to vote. Jesus would be a Democrat, says Leon Lemonap. Elaborate on that. Why do you believe Jesus would be a Democrat, would identify with liberal ideology? Now, keep in mind, when the Republicans suggest that you cannot be a Christian, or not Republicans, or even just simply Christians in general, when folks suggest you cannot be a Democrat and a Christian, they're talking about taking the life of the unborn, which they view as murder. They're talking about LGBT rights, which they view as an abomination. Gender transformation, gender surgery, sodomization, all of that. They see that as a sin. So that's where that's coming from. Looking in the comments here. Yep, because Democrats give a damn about other people, says Randy King. And that is the counter argument. Look at what's going on at the border. Look at the push for folks on the right to turn all those people away. Would Jesus do that? That is the often counterpoint. Would Jesus behave towards the downtrodden that wants entry into America, that are either seeking a better life or simply seeking to maintain life by running from the cartel? Would Jesus turn them away? That's the question that's the way the Democrats often push back on that. Don't know what he would be, but I know that Jesus is about love and he loves everyone. Well, I often look at things. When you look at the way America was set up, the way the founding fathers structured this country, you'd have to ask, based on the things that they allowed to happen, who the hell in the country was a Christian? It was any of that founded on Christian values. You see what happened to the Native Americans. You see what happened to African Americans. You see what happened to women. It's hard to argue that anyone was observing Christian values in this country for probably the first 200 years of it. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Show your boys some love. Love to get up to 5,000 likes if that's possible. We got a small audience in here. This is my backup page. The TikTok gods did not like some of the content we had on a conversation last week on the other page, so it's down for a few days. Nevertheless, you're always welcome here. You might not like my Democratic dinette set or my liberal lounger, but my home is always yours. Looking in the comments, it is who cares what anyone's religion is. Miss Bean, that sounds really good in 2022, but when Barack Obama was trying to run for office, people were bringing up that he was a Muslim and putting cameramen in his church. So the idea that no one gives a shit about your religion in 2022 does not resonate for those who were around when Barack Obama was seeking office. Those same Christians that burned witches. Wow. Okay. I cannot pronounce the name, but he says these softball comments. Let's hear your best fast pitch. Feel free, folks, to come in the box. You don't have to worry about being banned, censored, or blocked here. If you want to throw your best fastball, your best curveball, we even take a swing at sliders. Come in the box without any fear of censorship. The fact that you may disagree with the host doesn't mean a damn thing. I'll give you plenty of time to state your point. The Tea Party really brought the radical right to the mainstream, says spouse of B. I don't know if it is the Tea Party that represents the most amount of radicalism coming from the right. In fact, I'm under the impression the Tea Party is more of the independent libertarian wing that often aligns with the right when there's only two parties to go with. But the Tea Party would prefer their own party if they could have it. But I don't know if I would suggest, I don't know if I would argue or I would agree that the Tea Party represents the radical right. I think there's a different party or a different aspect of the right that represents that far right stuff. Like the Nick Fuentes guy that had dinner with Trump that has stated he doesn't believe in women's rights. He doesn't believe in LGBT rights. He believes that an African American caught shoplifting should have his hand chopped off. I don't see that guy as Tea Party. That's the point I'm making. I don't see that guy as representing the Tea Party. He is about as far right as they come, but I don't see him as Tea Party. But I could be wrong. That's why I enjoy talking to you folks. The folks often educate the host, and occasionally, just occasionally, on small occasions, I can return the favor. But anyone can be a Christian. Stop, says Neck Robotic. I would hope that is the case. I'm not here to denounce anyone's aspect or anyone's ability to seek out Jesus, Buddha, Allah, or whatever God they want. I'm only passing this on because I often hear this. I was brought up Christian in a Baptist church. So I'm never going to be one who would suggest that liberals or Democrats cannot be Christians. But because I'm hearing it so often, I figured I'd come here and run it by the folks and see what you guys had to say. Being a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, it sounds ridiculous to me. But who the hell am I? I'm seeing it all over social media. I'm seeing pastors in open church telling the congregation you cannot be Democrats and Christians simultaneously. So I wanted to hear your take. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. I'd appreciate it if you tap the screen. Bring me more MAGA. Let's see how this goes. The Tea Party kicked off the we don't have ideas, we just disagree with the left party. Mom, not yours. I love that. Yeah, and that is, I would see it that way, particularly during the Obama campaign. The Tea Party became really popular. during the Obama campaign. And yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a far right ploy. For the most part, the Tea Party was just anti-Obama. Once Obama won, the Tea Party kind of disappeared back into the foreground. And you didn't hear really from them at all during the Trump years. In fact, even when Biden announced he was running, you really haven't heard from the Tea Party anymore since the Obama years of any significance. So it is what it is. I'm not Democrat, but there are plenty of Christians in the Democratic Party. And that would be my sentiment as well. But I'm bringing this to you because I've seen pastors on live television while in front of their own congregation. We got TikTok clips. In fact, I posted one a few months ago of a pastor in open church telling his congregation that TikTok did not like it. Fair enough, they took it down. But it was a pastor telling his congregation, you cannot be a Democrat. Why the hell are they saying that? Because of the Democratic stance, the liberal stance on pro-choice decisions, taking the life of the unborn. They believe that is murder. Thereby, you can't be in favor of murdering the unborn and be a Christian simultaneously. Same thing with LGBT issues. They do not believe God intended for man to be with another man and women to be vice versa. Same thing with transgender surgery. They believe you are to maintain yourself as God created you in that image. To alter that image, they believe is an abomination. Now, they don't speak on, getting titty implants or getting lip injections. All of that's altering your physique. I mean, okay, maybe you don't cut off your genitals, but all of that other stuff is also altering yourself. So I don't understand how the gender reassignment gets put in a different category. But nevertheless, that is what they do. Look at California. The Democrats there are trying to okay child molestation by calling it a disease, says Richard Carmichael. Well, and that led to the question I asked earlier in this broadcast. If we are going to go by what an individual does to denote whether they are Christian or not, we have to ask, when in this country have we really had a majority of Christians? The way this country has operated from the very beginning has been anti-Christian. You're talking about, for instance, okay in child molestation. Most of America's history, that shit was legal. In fact, even right now in 2022, a host of states will allow you to marry an underage child as long as the parents sign off on it. I believe the state of New Hampshire does not even have an age of consent at all. As long as the parents sign off on it, it's cool. So you can talk about the Democrats in California in 2022, but the point I'm trying to make is that has always been the case. Most of America's history, it has been legal to be with a child, period. So it's not like that's something new. I'm not defending it by any means. I'm just bringing that to you that it sounds great in 2022 to use as a weapon against the liberals, but that has always been the way in America anyway. Looking in the comments, Pelosi just got barred from the Catholic community for her beliefs on abortion. I don't know if the Catholic community, because we talked about, as you can see, the video is titled, Can You Be Democrat and Christian? Christian obviously covers a host of religions, from Lutheran to Catholicism, you name it, Baptist, all of those religions are covered under Jesus, God, Christ, however you want to look at it. And I'm no theologian, but it covers all of that. When you talk specifically about the Catholic religion, barring Nancy Pelosi, the amount of corruption, you talk about abusing children, for instance, like the last poster stated, I don't think the Catholic religion should be publicly barring anyone at this point. Their history is significant. The corruption, the abuse of children, the hiding it up, the cover up. I just don't believe the Catholic religion, essentially living in a skyscraper that is 100% glass, is having a rock fight on the 87th floor. It makes no sense for the Catholic religion to do something like that to Nancy Pelosi or someone like Joe Biden, for instance, with a history like they have. It just makes up to and including cardinals, and even some would suggest the Pope has covered up known abusers of children. But you want to go after Nancy Pelosi? Even if you believe everything about Nancy Pelosi is awful, it's not the time to come out. It's just not the time to do that with the history of the Catholic Church. I mean, you can speak out against it, but barring someone, you should have barred some of those damn cardinals and priests, and you wouldn't have all of these grown men talking about their lives are screwed up because their innocence was taken. It just seemed to look inappropriate, but that's my opinion. Looking in the comments, Christians are the most judgmental people on the planet. Makes me glad I'm an atheist. And you're not probably the only one to feel that way, Fiji. In fact, it is the judgment often in the religious sector that turns younger folks away from it. I mean, it's not just Christians. I mean, most religions are very judgmental. Same thing with the Muslim religion and a lot of others. And certainly nowadays when children are becoming more and more informed, they got more access to other information and things like that. Not only do they not like the judgments, they also don't like the lies. And a lot of the things we were told coming up, we know to be not true. A lot of it you can do quick research. Some of it is scientifically impossible, such as going to hell and burning eternally. We all know fire needs fuel. Nothing can burn forever. If that was the case, we wouldn't be having the energy problems we're having now. So none of that makes sense. People bursting into flames, bursting into stones, pardoning red rivers, turning into piles of salt. Some of that stuff is just scientifically impossible. But when you tend to believe and have faith, you just take it at face value. But now, like I said, children of today are often far more educated, and there's a lot more information available to, at the very least, which is what happened with me, your humble correspondent. It led me to talk to my pastor, talk to other pastors at other churches, and ask them, how could this be if science says that? Well, you got to have faith. Yeah, but I'm seeing the experiment doesn't work. Well, you got to pray on it. Okay, I come back tomorrow. Well, I prayed on it and I still didn't get the answer. Well, you got to pray on it again. Okay, how long do I pray on it? Well, you just got to keep, then that doesn't make sense. And that's what leads some folks to bounce. Your caption is spelled as Republican. Did I do that? Oh, no. The caption was meant to suggest, and I can't read it now because I'm in the middle of a live, but the caption was meant to say you cannot be Christian and Democrat at the same time. Did I spell it as Republican? Oh, my God. You caught the error. I do appreciate you pointing that out. Might have something to do with the fact that very few people are willing to tap the damn screen, and we got a smaller audience in here. I have many Democrats that are Christian. Shoot, my grandparents built a Lutheran church in 1909, and they're Democrats. Well, 1909 Democrats are a different group of people. I just want to point that out to you. No disrespect to your grandparents there, Anna, but Democrats in 1909 were not necessarily the same as we have here today in 2022. So, you said Dems now. Okay, that's a difference. There is a difference because, Democrats in 1909, that's a whole different group of people. And I see, Rero Pake, I can't pronounce the name, but says, Democrats in 1909 were literally the KKK. Yeah, that is true. So you're saying all Democrats today are the same. The Republicans now, Henry, you're asking the question. So you're saying all Democrats today are the same. The Republicans must all be the same now too. No, there's liberals. There are Democrats, just like there are conservatives, and there are Republicans. In fact, if you go back in time, the Republicans were originally the Progressive Party, the ones who were pushing the Constitution in ways the Founding Fathers did not intend, which is why the Republican Party is often known as the party of, freeing the slaves and things like that. The Founding Fathers obviously did not intend to free the slaves, so that's progressive. Anytime you push to change the Constitution, you're considered a progressive. The folks who want to maintain things the way the Founding Fathers intended, they're often referred to as traditionalists. they want to keep America operating in the traditional way that the founding fathers intended. Modern day Republicans are traditionalists. Modern day Democrats they tend to side with the progressive aisle, which is why you see LGBT folks and all of them pushing to have different amendments and rights change operating and siding with the Democrats, because they're the ones who are going to push for changes and amendments to the Constitution. The Republicans will tell you the Constitution was written perfectly the way it is, and it does not need to be changed. That's the way it is in 2022. That's not to say that shit won't change in 2023 or sometime in the future. But that is the way it is right now. Looking in the comments, to be fair, the Jesus character in the Bible taught socialism, and Democrats are capitalists that do. I don't quite get the grammar of that, but in regards to capitalism versus socialism, I'm not a very religious individual, but I grew up in such a manner. And just if I had to give my own opinion on it, which I will, I certainly believe that Jesus would be closer to a socialist than a capitalist. A capitalist is all about me, me, me. As I can't think of his name right now, but as one character stated, greed is good. Michael Douglas once said that greed is good in one of his movies. That's what capitalism is about, which is why anytime the downtrodden among us are asking for assistance, the first response is, who's going to pay for it? In one of the world's richest countries, if not the richest country on earth, you often hear the phrase, who's going to pay for it? Which makes it clear that the richest citizens on the planet do not want to pay for stuff to help our poor folks. And I'm not just talking about welfare. I'm not talking about food stamps. I'm not talking about immigration. I'm not talking about tuition assistance. I'm talking about every damn thing that goes to assist those at the bottom. You often hear those who have respond with who is going to pay for it. Because at the end of the day, if it comes to helping out people below me, I don't want to do it. That's what you generally hear in the world's richest country. Would Jesus be like that? Who that even considers themselves remotely Christian believes Jesus would respond to the downtrodden by saying, who's going to pay for it? That is a capitalist tenet. Me, I want more, more, more. So if I had to give my analyzation of it, yeah, I believe that Jesus would probably be more on the socialist end of the scale than capitalism. Capitalism is not fair. It's not meant to be. It's meant to, it's literally meant to enrich those who have. Now, some could say it's also designed to reward those who work hard. That is true. If you work hard in capitalism, you tend to be in a position to do better. But our capitalist system is designed to enrich those who have. The more you have, the easier it is to acquire more. The less you have, the harder it is to get out of that predicament. That is how capitalism works. I don't see Jesus being okay with that. Looking in the comments, Dems are destroying America, says Fruit Loop. You know, in regards to Dems destroying America, is Dems destroying America? It's an opinion. I can't say yay or nay. I will first ask, what is the America you would like for us to maintain? Maybe Dems go against that. I mean, if you look at, for instance, LGBT rights, Dems are promoting LGBT rights. To folks on the right, doing that is destroying America. There was a time when folks thought being okay with interracial marriage was destroying America. So when the phrase destroying America comes up, the first question you must ask is, what is the picture of America that you would like? Because maybe the Dems are destroying that picture, but maybe there are new people in that frame of that new picture that's going to be doing better that you would rather not do so well. Looking in the comments, Democrats equals evil, ignorance, or mental illness. So Democrats are either evil, ignorant, or mentally ill. He didn't say and, so fortunately, I suppose you can be only one of the three if you're a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you're either evil, you're ignorant, or you're mentally ill. Fair enough, and once again, all three of those predicaments are opinions. What is evil to you? I mean, some would argue representing or celebrating or acknowledging Confederate generals that are responsible for the death of lots of people is evil. Some would argue that saying the Civil War was not about slavery is ignorant. And some would suggest wanting to have an AK with a 100-round drum is mentally ill. But it depends on what your opinion of evil, ignorant, or mentally ill is. Everyone has a different opinion of that, but I appreciate the comment. Looking in the comments, thoughts on Project Yellow Boy. I don't know if I'm familiar with Project Yellow Boy. Elaborate on it, I'll let you know. Do you believe that those demonizing Democrats think Dems represent, what does that say? It's POC and white saviors. Wait a minute. Do you believe that those demonizing Democrats think Dems represent, I don't know what is a white savior? I don't know if I'm familiar with the terms. What is a white savior? I mean, I've heard about replacement theory and I've heard about privilege and all of that, but I'd have to get what I don't know what that is. Bro thinks he's Kanye. Definitely not Andre Milk. Let me make it clear for those who were just tuning in. By the way, tap the screen. You guys are doing pretty well on showing your boy some love on the likes. 15,000 likes ain't impossible. Bring me more MAGA. This is a MAGA-friendly program, and I'll go right to the box after this. But the purpose of the hat, I'm a liberal. I lean left, but the purpose of the hat is I definitely respect the opinions coming from the right, and I want to let folks on the right, particularly MAGA, know that your First Amendment free speech rights will always be protected here in my little small corner of social media. I do not ban, censor, or block anyone for their commentary. The fact that you may get in the box and disagree with the host doesn't mean a damn thing. The hat is my shining light in the middle of the night to let MAGA know you can speak here. I believe the right, particularly MAGA, does not often get a fair shake in the media. They get censored, banned, and blocked all the time. Most of the media does lean left, so I like to have a fair program here. That is what the hat is for. Going back to the box, Sean7 just responded to one of your comments. I wanted to get those terms. POC and white savior. Explain that.
POC is person of color.
Okay.
And white savior is what a lot of, when I go into the conservative lives, is what they explain as they use it in a very, when they say it to basically vilify any white person that speaks up or on behalf of the BIPOC community. BIPOC meaning Black, Indigenous, people of color.
So in other words, it's a modern day reference to the older word, which used to be an N-word lover. Something similar to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what was your entire sentence? Now that I know what the terms are, what was that entire sentence? I don't kind of forget the question you asked.
I know, right? Now I got to scroll up. See, look what you done made me do. I basically, I was in a discussion this morning, and I was talking to some white people that were willing to be open and honest, and we had respectful conversation. And I kind of threw out there, I was like, is it possible to us? I mean, to me, I can't speak for everybody. It sounds as if those that are constantly throwing out liberals and lifts and leftists or that and Democrats or this, it sounds to me like a dog whistle to each other, or trying to demonize Democrats because they represent those people. Do you hear that as well, or?
Well, yeah, I do believe that both parties demonize each other, and from the standpoint of white savior and things. Yeah, there are some people out there that do not like folks who are sympathetic to the plights that African Americans claim, like for instance, police brutality, or African Americans claim that white privilege is real. There are folks on the right that do not like entities that sympathize with that. If you're white and you're walking around talking about, yeah, the police are really bad to Black people, or that, I'm white and I'm privileged, yeah, there are people on the right that are not going to like you. I do believe that.
So do you believe that those that are just going so hard against talking about Democrats are doing it because of their dislike, or them grouping Democrats with these particular groups, just like as if we were to say people on the left that demonize Republicans, and they put Republicans in our minds start thinking about people like MAGA and white supremacists, which they're not all like that. But when you hear somebody that's like Republicans are this and they're just so adamantly upset about it, it kind of sounds like they're leaning toward just speaking about those group representing all of them. And that's what I mean.
Well, it's difficult as and I'm glad you said everybody's not like that. It's
Yeah.
difficult to answer the question because the only answer you can give is grouping everybody up, and there are plenty of MAGA that are not racist. There's plenty of liberals that are not socialists that are not for defunding the police. So it's
Yeah.
impossible to answer the question in a group sense. If you pointed to one person and said, based on that person's behavior, do you think something? I could answer the question a lot better. But when it comes to grouping up entire groups of people, there are legitimate reasons to vote left and right. There's legitimate reasons to be in the middle. And then there are sinister reasons to be on the left or be on the right. So you have to really judge it on the individual.
Exactly. But it's kind of hard to do that since humans have a tendency to want to.
Damn. H2O. Damn. It took me back to the disco era. I appreciate that. Holla at your boy. Shantae, you dropped out, though. I can't hear you. Okay, Shantae dropped out, but H. Oh, damn! And your graphic came across when she dropped out, so it was like you had so much prominence, you just silenced her. I don't know, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Looking in the comments, Trump lost. He owned casinos, preying on people's addictions. He is a scumbag. Dominic, I can't really argue that owning a casino is preying on people's addiction. At the end of the day, you're coming there on a volunteer basis. Hell, I go to casinos, I won't say I go often, but I've been numerous times in my life. I mean, I lose, so I don't keep going back, but I like going to Vegas. I've been to Atlantic City. I've been to Biloxi. I've been to a lot of inner town casinos all over the country. It's capitalism. I mean, if are you preying on people's addictions by selling cigarettes, by selling, how many people got OnlyFans accounts? I mean, there are all sorts of addictions. I can't blame Trump I can't suggest Trump is preying on people by owning a casino. He's just trying to make money. I don't, there are reasons to criticize Trump. But make no mistake about it, we all, knowing how successful casinos can be, and I'm not talking about Trump's casino because apparently it didn't succeed, but knowing how successful casinos tend to be, how many of us would not invest in a casino if we had the opportunity? You can't blame that man for doing something that he was in position to do that we would all like to do if we were in position. Democrats cannot be Christian. That's the question that I meant to ask. Somebody said I titled it wrong, but we're asking that question because of the Democratic stance on a woman's right to choose, the Democratic stance on LGBT issues, being able to marry someone of the same sex, or even change your gender entirely. The fact that Democrats support that, does that disqualify Democrats from being Christian? I've seen pastors in open church state that. That's what we're asking. Going right back to the box, it is why. Let's try this again. And Shantae, I don't know what happened. We'll try you next. Why not? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. I'm seeing a lot of pastors, I'm even seeing it on social media, suggest that an individual cannot be Democrat and Christian simultaneously. Do you submit to that?
Absolutely not. And I tell you that I was raised a very Southern Baptist Pentecostal, and those type of groups would definitely say that, right? But
Right.
one of the things that we have to, when we're talking about sins, is we have to know that no sin is greater than the other outside of, basically blaspheming God. But when you look at no sin is greater than any other, you can't take, we all sin, right? And
Right.
you can't take one sin that somebody else does and classify that as greater than the other. So if you're a Democrat and you believe in abortion, and I'm not saying that's a sin, but the point is that if the groups that are saying they can't be Christians, they're classifying that as a sin. Well, they need to look inward because I'm pretty sure they sin. So therefore, no sin is greater than the other.
That's well stated. That is well stated. So, I mean, at the end of the day, then, is it just being used as a form of demonization?
Oh, absolutely. And it's also it's just a way to drive their political opinion. You classify, you kept talking, using the words that politics are like opinions, right? I've always
Yeah.
used the example. I look at politics like our taste buds, right? So what I mean by that is that I'll look at a piece of broccoli and I'll put a piece
Mhm.
of broccoli in my mouth and it's disgusting. And I see you over there just eating broccoli and just gobbling it up and loving it. And I'm looking at you, I'm like, dude, what is your problem? That broccoli is disgusting. Now I know it to be a fact that that broccoli is disgusting because I know it.
I'm
And
eating the
I'm looking
broccoli
at
because
you,
I'm eating the broccoli because I'm trying to get into weight loss heaven. But keep going.
right? But I'm just looking at you and you're just loving it and you say you love it. And it just doesn't make any sense. And that's what's
Yeah,
so
that's
scary
funny.
about politics is that both sides believe firmly that they're right.
Yeah.
And there only can be one right side. And that's what's so scary when you see all these debates on TikTok, and both sides are so adamantly right. It's like I wanted to commend you. I watched you on Lou's live the other night with MOD and Mother Dragon, the attorney,
Yes. It got
and
interesting.
bro, you handled yourself well. It was 5 against 1.
Yeah.
And that's what frustrates me with the Republicans because I'm a libertarian, but I lean definitely far more right
Right.
center.
Okay.
But there's so many Republicans now that just are so dead set. When you brought up that Trump did that tweet and he was
Yeah.
dead ass wrong about that tweet,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
they're trying to argue the fact that it's not his fault.
Yeah. I
And
thought that was. I get that
so,
oftentimes that according to them, as long as it's not Trump's original quote, he can tweet anything he wants and it's not his responsibility, which is what led me to ask, well, if you got Obama, that let's say Obama is racist as hell, but he doesn't want to admit it, so he just starts tweeting Farrakhan all day. You're telling me he would be excused for that? It,
oh,
it
he
made
absolutely
no
would.
sense. Yeah, exactly. It
He
made no
absolutely
sense.
would.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what it's sitting there, and her argument was is that well, somebody else posted it, so therefore it's Twitter's obligation to filter it. No,
Yeah.
and the president, and even as a candidate, they are held to a different standard, whether we like it or not. If you jump in that ring, you're held to a different standard.
Yeah, I thought it was a weak argument, but I get that oftentimes. I mean, like you said, the forum was overwhelmingly right, so it is the case. But I got to move it on. Why not?
All
Appreciate you
right, my friend,
tuning in.
nice talking to you again.
Absolutely, come on back through anytime. So, as I said, we are certainly now in the comments. Kenny Daniels asked to define what a Christian is. I'm under the impression, and I'm no theologian. I'm not one to probably answer the question, but I'll give you my opinion on it. In my opinion, someone who confesses their life to Christ, that believes that Jesus has died for our sins and he is our eternal savior. That would be my opinion. Now, there is a lot of man-made rules that orbit religions. In my opinion, if I was giving, better yet, in stating my opinion, I just simply believe as long as you confess that Jesus Christ is your one true Savior and you try to live your life through Him, I think that's all that's required. Now, man has added a host of rules, which leads to all of the judgment. Most of the judgment in religion is man-made rules that people are breaking. I don't think most of that stuff is coming from the deity. It's coming from other men that want you to live in their manner, such as a woman is not supposed to work on the Sabbath day, or hitting slaves, or spare the rod, sport a child. All of that stuff is the way one man thinks you should behave, and they're telling you to do so, which is why oftentimes people suggest that religion can lead to the pastors having a lot of power because they're telling people what to do. Looking in the comments, let's try Shantae again. Hopefully, Shantae, your signal is. Shantae, can you hear me now?
Oh, I think there's a glitch in
Yeah, I
in
what
the
happened.
TikTok. It says booting people, or they got us, Tim. They got us. We is caught. I'm taking you with me, damn it. If I gotta go, you gotta go with me.
Yeah, yeah. You got a real echo in the background though. But now
Oh,
in
here,
the
let me.
comments,
All right, is that better?
that is 100% better. Yeah. Now somebody in the comments
Okay,
said,
yeah.
Team Cawthon said politics and religion do not mix. Do you see it the same way? Yeah. Well,
Yes.
it goes back to the separation of religion, the separation of church and state. I guess it's kind of along those lines. And the more you try to implement or impose religion into our way of life, the more difficult our way of life becomes because there's a lot of different religions in our country.
Hmm. And there's a
So,
lot of different religions because everyone interprets it differently, and they'll take a group and they'll dissect it so much that there could be a slight difference between this group believes Jesus was
yeah.
black, this group believes Jesus was white, and now you have another whole religion about what the black Jesus say and what the white Jesus say. But that last caller, um, he said that the both sides are just adamantly and determined not to budge, and that's the problem. They both sides think they're right, but they actually are. I want to say, but it's by their. It's what we're forgetting is that it's due to their perception and their lived
Yeah, but
experiences.
let me interrupt you and ask you this. I mean, just being honest, do you believe Jesus would be okay with terminating the life of the unborn?
Uh, no. I also think Jesus was a woodworker who just talked too much, but I don't believe I don't believe that. No, because
No.
no matter where you come from, and the abortion debate is so deep. I really don't want to get all into it because I know I gotta go in a minute. But it basically
Okay,
if
let me present it to you from a different way. Then,
okay,
Do you believe Jesus would be okay with men having sex with other men?
no,
Okay, so
because if you promote love,
you're, you're kind of actually defining their argument that you can't be Jesus and Christian at the same time. You're kind of
I guess so.
giving them. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess so. Because of the
Yeah.
fact that if you base your Christianity um, on not what Christ actually represented, which was love, then love in an abortion is the love for the mother's choice. Love in a gay relationship is the love for each other, and that I mean, women have bodily autonomy,
On the
whether you want
argument
to love that or not.
Yeah, but based on the argument you're presenting, you could say, you're defending Jeffrey Dahmer's appetite, the love for what he liked to eat. I mean, you could use that anywhere. I mean,
Well, he was claiming
you could actually defend any crime or any sin by saying the person had a love to do that.
Well, I don't. Well, that's if you define abortion as a crime, which it's not, because
Well,
we all as a collective, and my son will come in and be really loud. We all collectively decided that it isn't. Majority of us that it is, and just recently we're
yeah,
starting to kind of back on that because of Christianity,
yeah, but
right?
we could have came to this country a couple hundred years ago and said we all collectively decided that slavery is okay. Just because everybody agrees
They
to
did.
something doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, yeah, they did. They did agree, and yeah, they agreed that it was okay. And then eventually, we're like, no, that's not right. But I always just stand with the fact that if a person has to do something for themselves, who am I to judge or to try to stop them for doing that for themselves? I'm not talking about if you just like black
But
meat, go out and get you some black, go out and eat black people. That's
yeah,
affecting somebody else.
but you're just like you don't want Dahmer to go out and eat someone because
Yeah, I
he's
don't want
taking a person's life. That is what
to.
the anti-abortion crowd sees when a woman has an abortion is that you're
Mm-hmm.
killing. I
That's what they
understand
say.
you want to have free choice, but the
That's true.
child, you're killing a child in your choice. That's the way they look at it.
Yeah, and that is. But that's when you have to let go of the whole. That's when science and religion needs to be separated. That's why they conflict with each other, because if you learn science, then you're not going to believe science if you believe solely in Christianity, and you're not going to believe in Christianity if you think scientifically. And so that's where the disconnect is. So if you are a person that is willing to open your mind to the fact that it's not quite, it's not a baby, and using those terms is basically playing on your feelings. It is, if you've ever seen a picture of a 10-week, it's about the size of the tip of a pin.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't have any conscience. It hasn't stopped thinking. It doesn't know who you are. It's like a booger at this point. That's how I see it. And so, if you feel like mentally I cannot allow this booger to grow up inside of me at this point for whatever reason, you should have the right to do that for yourself before it affects an actual baby. Now just
But
think, you bring this baby into the world, and now you realize, you know what, I can't do this. I
yeah,
don't want any.
I get your point, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the argument is that God gave you that child, gave you that embryo, that fetus, or whatever the case you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
and you should not have the right to terminate God's will. I'll give you the last word. I do got to move it on. And Glory and
Yeah,
Minion, I
yeah,
appreciate the gift there, Minion number 2. Thank you. But I'll give
yeah.
you the last word.
All right. So my whole thing is, God gave. I know, boy. Um,
Go ahead and
God,
wrap it up.
God gave you the choice as well. So if you're gonna argue that God gave you this baby, then also your God gave us choice. So where do you stand with that? All right, I gotta make waffles. All right,
All right. Go do your
bye.
thing. Catch you on the next one. Okay. I mean, and that's the whole argument. Now, the last caller was suggesting that God gave us free will and choice. Yeah, that's true. But a sin is a sin. If God gives you the choice to terminate the life of your child, just like he gives you the choice to pick up a firearm and take somebody's life just walking down the street, it's wrong. That's the argument that's coming from the right. Yeah, you exercise your pro-choice decision, but your pro-choice decision is a sin before God, which is why you're hearing folks on the right, and that is the opinion, that is the question of this conversation is, can you be a Democrat and Christian simultaneously? Going right back to the box. Sharon Valeries, I think that says. Future, I don't know what's going on here. Sharon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Can you be Christian and Democrat simultaneously?
In this modern incarnation, or whatever word you want to call, of the Democratic
Okay.
Party, I do not think so. The way that
Elaborate.
there is a group out there called Democrats for Life, which I've been following on social media, and what they're doing is they're raising money to help pro-life Democrats run for office and gain, I guess, gain more influence so that they can be represented and maybe make some type of change within the Democratic Party. But this current Democratic Party is so far left that you cannot. I just have to 100% say no. And to the point,
Okay.
and it's gotten to the point where over my years, I've been everything. I've been Republican, I've been Democrat. Right now, I'm independent. Um, and
Well, if you are independent, I have to follow up by asking the question: can you be Christian and Republican simultaneously?
I think it's a closer call, but the Republican Party does need to rein in their support of the death penalty. So if you're a Christian, you need to support life from womb until tomb. So that means
Wow.
that it's no death penalty, no euthanasia, no abortion. If you're a
Wow.
Christian,
So
yeah.
what about the current stance, particularly from Republicans about immigrants? Whereas you got the downtrodden from other countries seeking a better life in America, or in some cases, just seeking to maintain life because they allege the cartel is trying to kill them. If they're trying to get in the country and we tell them no, go back, do you see any issues with that?
You're talking about Well, the Bible commands us to help our sojourners. So I'm not saying open our borders. I'm not saying that, but I think there is a more ethical and humane way to treat that situation than what we have going on right now. Um, do I have all the answers as to what that looks like? No,
No,
I don't
we
profess
wouldn't
to.
expect that. We wouldn't expect. I
Yeah,
mean, this is a religious conversation. Nobody
yeah,
has all the answers. We wouldn't expect that. But so
yeah.
you, so in other words, you see difficulties with being a Christian while representing either side of the aisle.
Yes, absolutely. I do.
Wow.
Neither party truly represents Christian ideals. Neither.
You know, I tend to agree with that. I mean, but when you look at the way America was founded, you have to ask the question, have we ever really been maintaining our lives in a Christian way? I mean, this country has always been, I mean, just the way we acquired the country to begin with would have been viewed as anti-Christian. I mean, people were being killed and murdered right and left.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And the original people who were coming here from other countries, from Europe particularly, they came under the premise of religious freedom. That's one of the reasons why they were coming here. They wanted freedom to practice whatever it was they were, whether it be Quaker, whether it be whatever Protestant or religion, and they wanted to practice. They wanted a break from England, the Church of England, and
And
the
then they
tyranny.
started literally doing the same shit. They wanted
Well,
freedom
yeah,
from the oppression of England so that they could have their own country and oppress their own people.
yeah. Well, yes, I will. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I will agree with that. Something that the other young lady that you were just speaking to, she was talking about fetus. That's a way, in my opinion. She was trying to claim that it was not a fetus at 10 weeks, which is absolutely not true. And I'm surprised because it seemed like she had children. So if
Yeah.
she's had children recently, she should have had ultrasounds. She should have seen what those children look like along
Well,
the
I
stages.
think the argument she's making, though, is that
Mhm.
at 10 weeks, it's not a viable human being. I think that's what she was trying to say.
I disagree with that. A personhood begins at conception and it never ends.
No, 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 but it's a difference between a conception and viability. If the mom loses her life with a 10 week old what is it, embryo at that point or a fetus? 10 weeks is what, a fetus? That's it. Is
Fetus.
that, yeah?
That would be
At
the
10
correct.
weeks, okay. At 10 weeks, we got a fetus in the mom. If the mom all of a sudden loses her life, that fetus is going to die too. Almost in most cases, wouldn't you agree?
The fetus would die if the mom loses her life,
Yeah.
obviously. Yes.
Then it's not
Yes.
viable. Then it's not a viable. It's not a viable entity at that point.
But I don't think that our life should be determined. Human beings should not be using the word viable to determine whether or not we have the ability, not ability to live, the right to live. I don't think a human being should be looking at a person in any stage of its development, even at the earliest and most vulnerable stage. They should not be looking at a person and using the word viable and then determining whether or not that person has the right or ability to live. Let God have that final say, not humans.
Okay, fair enough. And that is certainly a religious tenet. Now, I
Yeah.
make it clear I'm not very religious at all. I'm clearly pro-choice, but then again, I'm not really claiming Christianity to any
Hmm.
significant degree. But yeah,
Hmm.
Christians, I would believe that most Christians would overwhelmingly agree with what you stated. So at the end of the day, though, you do admit both sides of the aisle have a difficult time if they are in the camp of being a Republican or in the camp of being a true blue Democrat. They're not Christians to most degree. They're really not a Christian.
They're not reflecting the true teachings of Christianity. No, I won't say that they're not Christians. That's not, I don't want to go that far.
I get your point. Yeah, I get your
Yeah.
point. Good clarity. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Sharon. I gotta move it on, but
All righty.
yeah, appreciate your candor. Come on back through anytime.
Thank you.
Look, I'm 100% anti-religion, says T7 1970. Why would you be anti? Well, I guess there are legitimate reasons. I won't say legitimate reasons, but I can totally understand why someone would be anti-religious. And after all, religion is responsible, many believe, for most of the world's wars. So I can see why somebody might be anti-religious, but I'd like to hear your point. Going to the box, it is facts. That says, let me make sure I get that right. Facts for future. Yes. Good afternoon. Facts.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you holding there. I made a mistake and skipped over you. But I wanted to ask, you hear we're talking about Christianity and being Democrat simultaneously. Do you
Hmm.
believe that that is a oxymoron?
No, I am a Christian Democrat.
So did you hear my last caller? I take it you heard the last woman that
I
was on?
I did.
I'm going to assume you disagree with a few things there.
Pretty much most of it, yes.
Well, why do you think so many people are feeling that you being a Democrat cannot be a Christian? You got pastors saying it's an open church.
Well, first of all, if you're a Christian, you aren't supposed to be judging other people by their opinions because everybody is a sinner. So that would be a sinner judging another sinner.
Yeah,
So
but I guess
if
the way I get your point. Everybody is a sinner. I'll let you continue, but the issue is, if even if you are a sinner, you're trying to live your life the Christian way. We're going to sin regardless. But in the case of Democrats, the belief is that you're deliberately choosing to sin, knowing it's a sin, and continuing to do it anyway and promoting it that way.
but see, we live our entire lives that way. To me, as a Christian, I'm supposed to live in a way that represents how I believe Jesus would want me to live, not in a sin free life, because living a sin free life is impossible. There's no
So
way I can live my daily life without sin.
that is true. So do you believe Jesus would support taking the life of the unborn?
Um, yes.
You feel free to elaborate. I'm curious because that is taking the life of something that was given to you by God.
Okay. So, let's go down this rabbit hole. All right. So, um,
Let's do it.
all right. So, here's how. Now, see, before I say this, most Christians don't believe the same way I do. In fact, most of them will say I'm not a Christian, which is an
Oh,
anti-Christian value to tell somebody they're not Christian.
okay.
So, so you will hear this as a contentious opinion, but I will say it anyway because I have a very strong faith in Jesus and I believe he's on my side no matter what.
Fair
So,
enough.
um, when a person conceives a
Okay.
pregnancy, there's no control over that. Women don't know, unless you take a test, you don't know when you ovulate. And a lot of women, in fact, I'd probably say about 30 to 40% of women do not have a regular cycle where they can guess when they're going to ovulate.
All right.
And you can conceive within 36 hours of having sexual intercourse. So it is extremely judgmental to look at either person and say that either one of them have a direct correlation of guilt, to say that either one would be directly at fault for a pregnancy that neither one of them intended to create.
Okay, I will say this. Now, being a man, I'm not going to even remotely pretend like I know more about a woman's body. That's not my place to state that. But I am seeing folks in the audience actually countering your statement about ovulation. I don't know, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
So, ovulation, and I will say this, I am 54 years old, and I did not know until I was 40 something years old that I ovulate while I menstruate. And
I guess
so
that.
that is something I did not know.
Okay.
And
But
so I have odd periods that I don't have my periods every 28 days. Okay. So this is not something every woman has. Not every woman knows exactly when they menstruate, exactly when they ovulate. This is not something every woman has. So,
I mean, that makes sense because humans are not all, humans are not like perfectly designed where they're all the same. Because in the comments, Danny K is saying my cycle has been the same since I was 21, and obviously some women can say, no, that has not been the case for me. All humans do not come out the same. So there is a possibility that you both could be right in regards to this.
Right. And I will also say this. I've been pregnant 6 times in my life, and I am a special case because every time I conceive, it could be a death sentence. Because
Mm.
I have a condition called Rh negative, and the cure for that is Rogam, and I can't take it. So every time I conceive, my body, if the child that I conceive has a positive blood type, as my blood type is negative, my body will attack the infant as if it is a virus.
Right. But you're
And
going to get the counter argument that often comes up. If you don't want to have children and you know that children can be a product of having sex, why not use protection? You're going to get that. How do you respond to that?
because after my 5th miscarriage and complication, doctors told me to have my tubes tied. I had my tubes tied, and 4 months later, I conceived my daughter and carried her, and now she's 17 years old.
You did. I mean, I hate to make light of it. Who's your doctor? How does that happen? I assume it can happen, but I mean, because it has to travel through the tube. How does that
Right.
happen?
Because, and again, I'm a Christian. When I went back to have my tubes tied again, the other doctor told me that one of my tubes had never been touched. Either the
So,
doctor that tied my tubes never
yeah,
touched it and was
that's what.
drunk or
Okay,
something,
all right.
or there was an immaculate thing that happened and something was
Yeah,
healed.
it sounds
Okay.
like doc. Yeah, it sounds like Doctor
So,
Era. Even if for some reason they actually did sever the tubes and they came back together through some they would still be able to see scars in the fact that it happened.
right.
So
So
yeah,
so
your
my
doctor
other
screwed up.
doctor, when I went back, because like I said, I wasn't supposed to have kids. So after I had my daughter, I went back to a doctor to have my tubes tied again. So because my daughter was a miracle, she actually had a negative blood type like me. So I was able to carry her, and that was a miracle. So
Wow.
I mean, this the idea that we all know what's going on with a woman's body all the time, the idea that, I mean, I talk to OBs. I am a fighter for human rights, okay? And I talk to doctors and I talk to medical professionals, and they will tell me there are things in the medical world that even they cannot tell you
Yeah.
why that shit happened, okay?
Yeah.
So for us to sit here and tell anybody that they have no right to determine when or how they're going to carry life in their body. And my final thing is, how is forcing another human being to go through a 9-month body metamorphosis not a human rights violation?
That's a hell of a comeback. That is a really good question. And as you know, this is a topic that will go on and on, but I do got to move it on facts. You're
Yes,
always
and
welcome
thank
back.
you, and God bless. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. And Merry Christmas to you. All right. Look the comments. You can be profile and pro-choice at the same time. Oh, pro-life. You can be pro-life and pro-choice at the same time. How does that work? How can you be pro-life and pro-choice at the same time? That came from Paul P. I don't quite get I don't get the aspects of that. But let's go to Anthony 6195 in the box. Anthony, good afternoon. Welcome back to the program. Talking about the possibility of we got pastors. You may have even seen it on social media, Anthony, where pastors are suggesting that you cannot be Democratic and Christian at the same time. If you are a Democrat, that means you cannot be a Christian. Have you ever heard of something like that?
Yeah, I've heard it. Have a lot of neighbors and people that I associate with that are conservatives. Especially, you're getting it. You're getting it specifically from, these right wing nuts, MAGA Republicans. This is where this shit is coming from. Being called demon rats and this, that, and the third. I, I'm glad you didn't start the conversation out of talking about abortions, because I don't think that's a place for me and you to sit and have a conversation like that
Agreed.
without women
Agreed.
present.
Agreed. Yeah, and
But
I let the last caller know that I'm not going to pretend to know more about a woman's body than a woman. So I agree with
yeah,
that. But what
but
about the LGBT issues? What about the LGBT issues? A man making love to another man, is that something you believe that God, Jesus Christ, will support?
y'all really gonna hate this. David got naked with Jonathan. So I'm not gonna get into to the Bible, because I'm not a to still be stuck in that book. It's not even a conversation that I'm willing to have, because people who are Christians don't have the conversation in good faith. When I say they don't
Mm.
have it in good faith, you only read one book, so you only have one opinion. And so therefore your opinion is not in good faith. You're being told what to do. But that's a whole nother topic.
So let me ask you this. In the comments, Mama Lee says God does not make mistakes. Do you believe that?
I don't believe that God created your child.
Huh? Then so if you don't believe
And
God
babies are
created,
raw dick allergies.
huh? Repeat that.
I believe babies are raw dick allergies.
Raw dick allergies? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
What is it?
Because if God,
Define a raw dick allergy.
you have
What
sex,
is a
you
raw
have
dick
sex,
allergy?
you have sex unprotected, you create life sometimes. If God created life like people, or babies like people think they were, like people think he does, then don't you think that he would give them to good people all the time?
Well,
He's
maybe
a good God, right?
yeah,
Wouldn't
that's
he
the
make sure?
opinion.
Yeah, wouldn't he make sure that he gave babies to good people all the time if he's a good God?
I mean, that's a really good question to pose. But when you say raw dick allergies, do you look at a woman walking down the street that's pregnant and say she was allergic to the dick?
I said that she had
That's
an
what you
allergic
said.
reaction to the dick.
That's what you said. I
She
had
had
to
an
have.
allergic reaction to the dick. She did. That's what happened. She had an allergic reaction to the dick.
So if you're having unprotected sex with a woman, do you pause and look down at her and ask, are you allergic to this dick? Let me know before we do this. You ain't allergic to the dick, right? I mean,
Hey, you know that was shock. You know that was for shock value. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying
okay.
that
All right, because
God
child
God
support
God
child support is a hell of a prescription value. I just want to make sure they do.
it's a deter. It should be a deterrent, though. It should. It should be a deterrent. But
Yeah.
I say that to say that God created two people. If you're a Bible thumper, God created two people, Adam and Eve. After those two people, God has never created another person to walk the
Mm.
earth. So for you to say that God creates babies, no, that baby is not created in God's image. That baby is created in your image. That baby look just like you and his mama. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? So there's no God gave. If God gave people babies, then there's a lot of people, good people, who tried to get pregnant, that God just didn't answer their prayers, and that's just asinine.
So when a person is trying to get pregnant and they're praying to God that they conceive, are you suggesting that those prayers are useless then, since God doesn't create children anyway? You're saying that
That's
the
what.
prayer is useless.
No, I'm saying, if that's what you believe, by all means continue to believe what you want to believe. But
But we're
because
talking
everybody,
about, but Anthony, we're talking about what you believe. You believe
yeah,
that God
realistic,
does not create children. So if a
yeah,
couple is praying to create a child, praying to God that he allows the wife to get pregnant, because you believe God does not even create children, then you would believe that praying to God for a child is useless.
But see, the difference between me and everybody else is I'd get down on my knees and pray with them. But at the end of the day, when I
But
get
who are
back in
you
my car,
praying to? But if God doesn't create
to
the
whoever
child,
it is they believe in, to whoever it is that they believe in,
but
you know,
the person that they believe in, according to you, cannot even meet their needs.
if they don't get pregnant, did he meet their needs?
Yeah, I don't know if because what you're saying doesn't make sense. Is what I'm saying is, if you don't believe God creates children, why would
I
you
do
get
not,
on your knees and pray to God with the other person when you think they're praying to somebody that can't fit the bill?
because they believe it. And you know, I'm not gonna shit on your beliefs. But what
No,
I'm
I don't.
saying between me and you having this conversation, God does not create babies. God has not created a human soul or a human being on this planet since he created Adam and Eve. And your book tells you this.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, in regards to not shitting on the beliefs, if I'm sitting around praying in the middle of the Bahamas that it's a blizzard next week, I want you to shit on my beliefs and let me know that shit ain't gonna happen. I mean, if you really believe something's not gonna happen, don't get down on your knees and pray with me that a blizzard's gonna take place in the Bahamas. I want you
I
to
mean,
interrupt my prayer and tell me that shit ain't gonna happen, dude. That's
now,
what I would
now,
rather you do.
now, Hansel, I'm gonna say this. You have people who, that's the difference between a blizzard and a baby. Um, a woman who is having problems conceiving a child, a woman that has had difficulties conceiving a child. Why would I, as a decent human being, go to this woman and say, all them prayers that you're doing is worthless? What I'm gonna do
No, wait. No, I wouldn't
human
expect you.
being,
No, that ain't what I was asking. I wouldn't expect
yeah,
you to come
okay,
out and tell her. I just asked
okay,
you in your own subconscious thinking.
yeah,
You
no,
do
it's
believe if
yeah,
she's, yeah, you do believe,
yeah,
yeah, you believe
yeah,
her prayers are a waste.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right. I got to move it on, Anthony. Good talk, man. Come on back through. You know how we do it.
Always have a good one.
You too. All right. Comments. You can be Christian and be a Democrat. You have to have a separation between church and state. I really like that answer, the widow's son. I agree with that. Is that someone said it earlier in the broadcast? By the way, tap the screen, tap the damn screen, show your boys some love. Get me up to 20,000 likes. Bring me more MAGA. Haven't had a lot of MAGA in regards to this program. This is a MAGA friendly zone. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. The fact that you disagree with the host never means a damn thing. I'll give you plenty of time in the box to state your point, and we'll go from there. But in regards to separation of church and state, I agree with that, because in a country like America, where we have literally tried to become a melting pot and we have succeeded to a significant level, you got too many damn religions in this country to try to implement religion in politics. No matter what religion you try, there are going to be an ample amount of people in this country that disagree with that religion. Even Christianity right now. How many Americans identify as Christian? Probably well under 75%. So if 25% of the country does not identify as Christian, you're literally talking about nearly 100 million people. I mean, that's a lot of people. I mean, what is it, 350 million in this country? So you 70, 80 million people? That's a lot of people. Looking in the comments. Put camera in there in your church. I don't quite get that. God left a teenager to be a single mother. That happens a lot. All right, let me go back to the box. It is loving life. Noon, a loving life. Welcome to. We're asking Christian Democrat. Can you do that simultaneously?
A Christian as a Democrat?
No, the notion that being a Democrat disqualifies you from being a Christian at the same time, because Democratic
No,
policies are.
it should not. I mean, like in reality, is God accepts. God is supposed to. God accepts all people. that
That's
want to
what
go
I
to
was
Him.
talking. But what
God
about,
accepts
okay,
everybody.
I get the point that God accepts everybody, but I often ask the question, I've asked this to several callers already. Do you believe God would be in favor of terminating the life of the unborn? Do you see that as a sin, or you see that other ways?
Terminating the life of the unborn. Oh, that's a tough one. See,
I've been.
I can't make decisions for God because I'm not Him.
Mhm.
But I mean, like the caller before me, he was saying that, and that made a lot of sense. I never thought about it that way before, where he said, God didn't create anybody until, I mean, after Adam and Eve. And you know what? I thought about that. That makes kind of some sense. I mean,
Yeah, but
it's like,
okay, but we have to remember he also admitted that he does not believe modern prayer has any value, because if God only created Adam and Eve and he didn't create anyone else, then anytime someone gets sick or anytime something happens to anyone, whether they're incarcerated, whether they're sick, whether they're on their deathbed, praying for that person is useless because God has nothing to do with them. Do you believe that?
no, no, that I don't
Okay.
believe to that
All right.
extent, because I mean, if you actually think about it, Adam and Eve, they were given the gift of prayer. No, well, they were given the gift to talk to God, just like in
Okay.
stereo, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but like if okay, because I mean, Christ came back and came down here, was born through Mary of that stature. I mean, there's different like everybody's like you were saying earlier. Um there's different religions, and everybody
Yeah.
believes differently. So,
Right.
I mean, if you go to the point where some religions believe that Jesus Christ never showed up, and that makes there's so many contradictories in the
Yeah.
Bible in itself.
Well,
Because
yeah.
man
You
actually,
you even got contradictions between the Old and New Testament. I mean, you're right. There are contradictions everywhere. Whether it's an eye for an eye, which some folks would lead to believe it's okay to murder people. I mean,
right?
that's one reason why the Bible is the world's most read book. It's the only book that you can read from cover to cover and still need to read it again because you didn't understand parts of it. And you have folks who spend their entire life rereading the Bible over and over again because the messages are not very clear. It's just not. I mean, so I do agree that there are contradictions everywhere.
And also, like, even the Bible has been weaponized as well
Yeah.
too. Like, I just so like recently, I used to believe in Christianity and all that, but I gotten to the point where when I hear different things, and I just like, what, I believe in God. I believe in just doing the right thing. Um, for example, like like let's say, "Thou shalt not kill." Like that's a given. Like we shouldn't be
But
killing each
what if
other
you got a
for
person that's
nonsense.
but what if you got a person that's a danger to society and you execute them? That's killing. Are you against capital punishment?
Uh, See, like, once again, I mean, I'm not in that
I mean,
area.
let's say you got, okay, I'll give it to you again. Let's say you have a serial killer or a Charles Manson type that has admitted, if I ever get out of here, I'm going to kill more people. What I mean, if you execute a person like that, that is killing. But you're
Right.
executing someone who has admitted that they are going to continue killing. Are you against capital punishment in a case like that?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'd keep him in prison for the rest of his life until he goes on his own. I think free will is always the best option. Free will, because
Okay.
he did give us free will. He
Yeah,
did give us
but it
free
could
will.
also be, it could also be while incarcerated, killing people in there as well.
Well, they have segregated units. There's
Yeah.
units where there's people that
Right.
will
That's
be,
true.
isolated for the rest of their life. Like
Yeah,
they can't.
that's true. That's a hell of an existence. But loving life, I gotta move it on, man. Come on back through. You know what we do.
All right. Thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Absolutely. You too if we don't talk again.
Looking in the comments, someone said this damn sure. This is coming from what is it says Moonray or Mom Ray. This is damn sure not educational for me anyway. Too many feelings involved. We're talking about religion. We're talking about the deity. We're talking about everything about this is opinion and feeling oriented. Anyone who tells you you cannot be a Christian and Democrat at the same time is basing that shit on feeling. The entire interpretation of the Bible is often based on faith and feeling. A lot of it, as the last caller was suggesting, a lot of it's not very clear. Some of it is contradictory. Most religion has a lot to do with how you feel. What's in your heart? Is God in your heart? That's all based on feeling. What did you expect? A scientific experiment? We're not mixing baking soda and vinegar here. We're talking about religion. Going back to the box. Craig, by Don has been here. By
Good afternoon, by Don. Democrat and Christian at the same time. Is that impossible?
I think that any preacher out here saying that is not a good Christian himself.
Wow. Elaborate. What do you mean?
Because did Jesus ever say anyone couldn't be a Christian?
Good point. I don't think I've ever heard anyone suggest that. That's a really good point.
Now, having said that, I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in the Bible. I believe there's a God, but I'm a person who believes there's a reason why there's 4,200 religions in the world, and there's probably some bit of truth to all of them, but I don't think any of them are exactly right.
Wow. Well, and in my opinion, if you're in church, you probably shouldn't be dealing with politics. And if you're in politics, you shouldn't be promoting religion. I strongly believe the two do not mix. But in this country from day one, although they said separation of church and state, it's as if they wrote that down and then they opened up the Bible and started making laws. So our country does appear.
Real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
If the last caller's still listening, I have a question for him. So, or anyone who's against the death penalty. So, okay, I don't think the death penalty is, the greatest thing in the world. But at the same time, a 20-year-old kid kills 10 people. The American the American taxpayer should have to pay to feed, house, and clothe him for the next 60 years.
Well, and let me respond to that. Now, we'll see what happens in the comments. But because I've heard this numerous times. In my opinion, when it comes to taking someone's life, finances should never come in as a reason of why you should or should not do it. What you're essentially saying is you should kill the person to save money. I don't ever believe that saving money should never be a justification as to why you kill somebody. That's my personal
Here's the thing,
opinion.
though. If you kill 10 people, you're obviously not a good human being. You're probably not good for the world.
Okay.
So why should you be housed, clothed, and fed for free for 60 years?
Well, I understand. I understand the point. And the sentiment is going to be we don't like anyone in this country that's killed 10 people. I understand the hatred toward that person. The problem we have is you're using money as a reason to kill. If you think the person is a danger to society, then you remove them from society and you can use that as justification. But I just don't like the notion of, if somebody else had gave us money to house and clothe them for the next 20 years, maybe we wouldn't have executed them. But as a taxpayer, I don't like the guy, so I'm going to kill him to save money. You're killing a person to save money. That just doesn't sound right to me.
No, it doesn't. But had the Republican Party not made our prison system into a for-profit industry, that wouldn't be such a problem.
Fair enough. I do agree that
it's wrong to have incarceration based on profit, but I don't think you're going to really escape that by going to the liberal side of the aisle either. I mean, there are plenty of, Bill Clinton and even President Biden during his time in the Senate, the crime bill and all that. Both sides have promoted incarceration for money. As we have progressed on, the liberals seem to be trying to undo some of that. And Trump talked with Kim Kardashian about some of that shit too. But at the end of the day, both sides have made a lot of money off of mass incarceration, which is why we still have it to this day.
I'm not denying that, but it was Ronald Reagan who signed the initial bill that made prisons allowed
Okay.
to be for profit.
Right, but there's been a hell of a lot of liberal leaders since Ronald Reagan, and they have not undone it. So they both are making money off of it. You want to say Reagan is the grandfather of it? We can run with that. But there have been liberal. You didn't see Carter, you didn't see Clinton, you didn't see Obama.
No.
They didn't
I
undo
understand
it.
that. And mass incarceration is a huge problem. Actually, I just watched a documentary on Vice the other night. It's called Weed Quit. It's about people, smoking legal weed and weed laws all over the country and stuff. There's a guy in New Orleans right now, because he's already a felon. He's doing 10 years in prison because he got caught with the equivalent of 2 joints.
And no other criminal record. Did he have something? Was that like a third
No,
strike or something?
he's a felon, but his
Okay.
felony is 15 years old. He hasn't been in
Yeah.
any other trouble, and he got caught with 2.2 grams of weed, and they gave him 10 years in prison.
Yeah. And I don't have, like I said, I don't have an answer other than to say that you and I are on the same side of that. Is that our country, we love incarcerating people. And the main reason is pretty simple. Our entire system is based on rewarding folks who are tough on crime, whether it's the police officer, how many arrests did you make, whether it's the judge, how long were the sentences you handed out, whether it's the politician, how tough are the laws you pass. Everybody is rewarded based on incarcerating people, which is why you have a system of mass incarceration, oftentimes corruption, and an overall lack of empathy, because the whole system rewards people who like right now, Illinois is supposed to pass a no. They're supposed to be removing cash bail in the state of Illinois. The right is going
Well,
absolutely nuts.
somebody in the comments just said it's actually cheaper to incarcerate a murderer for life than it is to give them the death penalty.
I've heard
That's
that before
interesting.
too. Well, that's because of the due process. That a person who is about to be executed has a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
court
because you get so
cases.
many appeals, huh?
Yeah, that's why they say that. That is why that's happening. But I'm not a fan of throwing money into the argument at all on whether they incarcerated somebody or not. The idea that it's cheaper to kill them, I just don't. That to me, that's an argument that should not be had.
I'm not necessarily touching on the idea that it's cheaper to kill them. My thought would be if you murder a bunch of people, you probably don't deserve to live.
Then go with that. But when it comes to murdering somebody, we shouldn't be discussing it about it saving taxpayers money. Maybe we let them
Yeah,
live a
you're
little
right.
bit longer. But
You're right. That's a much better argument.
yeah, go
But
with that.
yeah,
All right,
I would have to agree with you. All right, man. Have a good day.
you too. Good talk. That was Biden. Let me see here in the comments. Host, is this a new account? Shadow Walker. Yeah, it's the backup. The TikTok gods did not like a conversation we had the other day on, Trump is back in the news again with his taxes and the DOJ, or better yet, the January 6th hearings committee recommending he be charged criminally and shit like that. I played a couple Trump speeches and the TikTok gods did not like it. So that account is down for another 4 or 5 days. For you guys who are new to this type of conversation, this type of program, follow the channel. And yeah, this is a backup account. So if you notice the handsome liberal, the L is missing. The main account that has about 10 times as many folks on it, it's spelled correctly. So I'd encourage you but definitely be appreciative for those who are following me here and not there. Follow that account as well, because that is where we normally are. But we'll be here for the next couple days. Trump wants to get rid of the Constitution. So patriotic. Funky Cole Medina loved the song. In regards to Trump getting rid of the Constitution. He shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have said it. Do I believe Trump wants to get rid of the entire Constitution? No, I don't believe that. But hey, he stated it that way. I don't believe liberals want to defund the police. But when you say something that's so clear like that, you can't expect people to not go with you on what you said literally. Trump did say, terminate the Constitution. Really bad way of phrasing things. I mean, he just wants to be reinstated into the White House. He believes he won in 2020. And at this point, whatever it takes to get me back into power to my rightful position, do whatever the hell you got to do. That's the way it appears that Trump feels. But once I'm in office, I'll go back to observing the Constitution. So I don't know. But and by the way, I see you guys in the comments. It's an off topic, and I would like to discuss it probably on tomorrow's live. If not tonight, I'll probably do a live at 7. Zelensky coming to the United States. And obviously, there is a huge difference in how we viewed Zelensky and the Ukrainians under the Trump administration versus the Biden administration. It's a topic for fodder. We will be discussing that on the next live because Zelensky is here in the United States. Biden brought Zelensky to America. Trump obviously brought in Kim Jong-un and apparently sent an invite to Vladimir Putin, which did not happen. So we'll talk about the difference between those two men and which one may be better for America, which one may be worse. I mean, we didn't have any major military conflicts under Trump, whereas we essentially are involved in a proxy war right now with the Russians. I mean, pretty much the United States is the only reason the Ukrainians are continuing to exist. So we are essentially in a proxy war with Russia currently right now. There are some who believe that's a good thing, though, helping the Ukrainians maintain their sovereignty. And then there are others who think we should not be involved with this shit. And let's go back to what Trump was doing, which was getting us out of major military conflict. So we'll discuss that. Anyhow, looking at the comments, stop making excuses for orange. I'm not making excuses. I like to, despite the name of the program, I make no qualms about it. I am able to play devil's advocate on both sides, and I do enjoy being able to see at least the opinion and the mindset of others on the other side of the aisle. I am not a liberal that believes all things liberal are perfect. All things Democrat are right. No, there are lots of legitimate reasons to be on the right, lots of legitimate reasons to criticize Democrats as well. And even with a president like Trump, which the Democrats obviously despised, I'm not here to pretend like every single thing about Trump was bad. That's just not true. Absolutely not true. The economy under Trump was not bad. You can say, well, he inherited it from Obama or something like that. I don't make excuses. Under President Trump, the economy was good. And I'll leave it at that. Going back to the box, Craig Smith. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the program. What do you think? Democrat and Christian, is that impossible to do that at the same time?
That's crazy.
It's a common statement, though.
Yeah,
Can't be Democrat and Christian.
Well, I guess you can be. I mean, if you look at it, Jesus wasn't a Christian. Jesus was not religion. He wasn't a Catholic.
Well, they didn't have religion. Yeah, they didn't have it when he.
Yeah, he wasn't a Catholic. He wasn't a Protestant. He wasn't a Baptist. He wasn't. He was a spiritual person.
Right.
He who without sin throw the first rock. Sin no more, whatever. So I mean, yeah, I guess you can be.
Yeah, but how do you feel? Let's say a woman, she didn't really go to the doctor very often, and now she finds out she's 5 months pregnant, and she wants to have an abortion. You think Jesus would be okay with her terminating that fetus?
My opinion, no.
Okay, but she claims she's a Christian. Even while on the table to have the process done, she's praying. Can you be a Christian and a Democrat under those circumstances simultaneously?
But like I say, Jesus wasn't a Christian. So, I mean, you basically.
Well, let's put it this way. Can you be a follower of Christ, of Jesus, and Democrat at the same time?
Yes. Yes.
Even under the circumstances I just gave you?
Yes.
Okay. What about
my opinion, as far as that as far as a woman terminating her baby, I don't see it like that. As far as somebody being killed in the prison, I mean, death penalty, I don't see it like that. And I don't consider myself religion anymore or Christian. I'm a spiritual person. I just feel like you need to do the right thing for the right reason.
Wow. And I see in the comments in regards to what we're talking about, Delta 33157 said, my sister-in-law had 3 abortions and she's a Republican. Wow. At
You
some
stood up.
point, now I'm not a woman, so like I stated earlier in the broadcast, I'm not one to tell a woman about their body or anything like that. But just from a position of ignorance, isn't there like a limit? Like, can you keep getting pregnant if you turn? I mean, after a while, your body doesn't produce children anymore. That's what I was under. I mean, 3 abortions is a lot. I didn't think you could keep doing that.
I don't know, so I can't really speak on that.
Yeah,
But
neither. Yeah,
that
I didn't. Go ahead.
that do seem to be a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no shit.
I mean,
And
after I can see you making the first mistake, but you continue to do it, then something ain't right there. But
But do
I,
you believe a woman should have the right to choose if she keeps? Let's say a woman is coming in for a 5th abortion. Do you believe she should be allowed to continue doing it as much as she wants?
I don't feel that she should be allowed to keep doing it. But if she don't want the baby, I mean, she's not gonna take care of that baby either. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
but if yeah, that is so true. But if she is coming in, let's say for her 4th or 5th abortion, and you are the governor of that state, would you be in favor of passing a law to prevent her from doing that?
ooh, I hate to get in somebody's business like that, but yeah, I would pass. I would do that because that's ridiculous. That's just too much. If you're gonna go out and have sex, you need to wrap up. I was just talking to my grandson last night. Wrap up, son, please, because he's in the
So
military.
what number? Just give me your humble opinion. What number would you stop it at? You're clearly pro-choice for the first time, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So at what point is it too many, and the answer becomes no. You don't have the right to do that.
after the first one. If
Oh.
you ain't learned your lesson by then, what can I say?
So how do you feel about women?
Everybody make a mistake. Everybody make a mistake.
Yeah. So what if it was a product of as they say sexual assault or incest or something like that?
Now that's a different story, though.
Right. Well, same feeling here.
Yeah, I
I
mean
don't I don't know if I would stop at one, but I do agree. Yeah,
I
if
mean,
it's if it's
it's a little different though. You know what I'm saying? Because if somebody has sexually assaulted my daughter and she was going to be pregnant, I don't want her to have to carry that and have to think about that for the rest of her life.
right.
You know,
So how do you respond? Sadiekin719 in the comments is saying, how about a man who keeps getting a woman pregnant? Mandatory vasectomy. What if you got a dude out there that's got multiple children that he's not taking care of and he's constantly creating more? Should he have his genitalia altered, from the doctor's standpoint, vasectomy or I mean, I can't even get it out because it's so fucking painful.
if
But I
you
gotta ask her a question.
if
It's a
you
good
want to
question.
ask me that, yes, yes,
Really?
yes. He's just irresponsible now. You cannot continue to keep making life and keep uh terminating life just because it's easy. You know what I'm saying? No,
A
no.
mandatory vasectomy, huh? Wow.
A mandatory. They do it to pedophiles. They do it to some pedophiles, don't they?
Yeah, but a guy who's constantly making babies, all of the women are consenting. I mean, this is Nick Cannon without the money. So it's a difference with somebody who's really just sexually assaulting children or raping women or something like that. But if all of the women know that he has multiple children and they consent to have sex with him, I mean, how can you demand to get a vasectomy? The women, you gotta know at some point if the man you're sleeping with has multiple baby mamas and he work at Walmart, he's not going to be father of the year. He doesn't make enough money, and there's only so many hours in the day you can spend time with children. At some point, you can't blame the guy. You know he has 3 or 4 baby mamas.
I
You
was just
know he's making $9 an hour. He's not going to be able to do it.
I was just about to say that. I mean, when do you become responsible as a
Right.
woman or as a man? When do you become responsible? I mean,
Yeah.
I have seen programs where a guy had 25 children.
Damn. That's a
Dude,
sniper.
I
That
knew
is a
I
sniper.
I knew a lady that was 31 years old and she had 19 kids.
That's a rubber band. Damn.
Right,
Damn.
right. We used to take
19
clothes
at
to
night. I can't even imagine
we used
bussing. I can't even imagine bussing in something that 19 shorties came out of. There
we
got to
used
be
to
no
take
feeling that at
clothes.
all.
We used to take clothes to it, and it didn't make no difference what size it was. Somebody was gonna be able to fit them. Somebody, and that's a shame. And
Somebody
people,
gonna be.
that's for real. That's a true story. That's a true
Oh
story.
my god! Somebody gonna be able to fit this shit in that house, huh?
It didn't make a difference. But I mean, I just want to get on here, man, and just say, people need to live their lives, get out of other people's lives, and I mean, I know it's kind of, but if you really look at Jesus was not Christian. He was not religion. He was a spiritual person. Do the right thing for you, because when you die and gone, he ain't gonna judge nobody but you. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only person he gonna be judging is you right at that particular time. Like he used to say, if you did something and somebody else did something and you brought it up in court, they not gonna look at that. They gonna look at your case right there.
Yep. Yep. 100%. None but
Hey,
facts. All right, Craig.
okay,
Good talk, man. I gotta move it on.
take care.
Hey, you too. All right. Unfortunately, you know what we do about this time, as they say, like they always do about this time. You could be anywhere you want to be on social media. The fact that you're rolling with your boy is always an honor. I appreciate the fact that you did come in here. 22,000, 23. I wanted to get 25,000 likes, a few lazy thumbs in here. Nevertheless, as I always say, it's a MAGA friendly program. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. No one. Free speech is always paramount here. You could be anywhere, but when you're here, you get to state your point. The hat, everybody always asks, what the hell would a liberal have a MAGA hat for? To let MAGA know your speech is protected here. In fact, I always enjoy talking to MAGA. I don't believe they get a fair play in the mainstream media. But when they're in my little small tiny corner of social media, they will always get a fair shake here, put you in the box, give you plenty of time to state your point without any fear of censorship. But nevertheless, it is a lunch break live, and my lunch break has concluded. It's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. Tonight at 7 p.m. Central, follow the program. Help you out the algorithms. I'll catch you then.